Okay, well, next up, let's take a look at another launch title for the Xbox One, Ryse, Son of Rome. I was a little dubious about Ryse at first. I mean, my first memory of this game is that it was announced as a Kinect-only title for the 360, which is a bit of a worry, but now on Xbox One, that's far from what we ended up with.
Yes, this third-person action-adventure through the battlefields of ancient Rome is an incredibly cinematic experience. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, Rome is the perfect setting to show off what this console can do visually, isn't it? Stunning use of light, breathtaking vistas, the detail in the textures, the glint of metal plate armor.
Bring down the Wicker Man!
Okay, once you get past all that, you can try and focus on what this game is actually all about.
You play Marius, a Roman general who fights his way through a bitter tale of honor, betrayal, and revenge. It's your typical Roman saga, really. Seeking justice for the death of his family,
No!
Marius must battle foes both on the field and in the arena to exact his vengeance.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's basically Gladiator the video game, which at first I thought was a pretty poor effort at storytelling, but it actually really works, and I had a great time with this. Let's talk about the combat, because you're pretty much thrown into the battle from the get-go.
I thought it was slick. It has such a nice flow to it. You can choose if you want to get damage, health, focus, or XP from kills by switching between these options on the D-pad. But in order to reap the benefits from kills, you need to end every single fight in a quick-time execution, which got really tedious for me. You just see that same animation over and over again. It gets old fast.
Yeah, but you do unlock more of those, and I quite liked trying to learn and predict them so that you could time a legendary execution. Plus, you know, he does get creative with the environment on occasion with a few of those finishes. I thought it was great the way enemies really overwhelm you, often attacking within a split second of each other, keeping you on your toes with counters. And heavier enemies will come at you with unblockable attacks in amongst it all. It's nicely stressful. You know, I found I actually had to learn some of these fights and have a couple of goes at them.
Yes, but when all else fails, you can use your focus attack and do the most hilarious turbo gladiator kick I've ever seen.
Yeah, I use that a lot just because it's so hilarious to watch them go flying. The combat animations in general were just perfect, I thought. The sword swings and the shield pushes, the way Marius staggers back from a blocked attack, and you can't deny those executions look amazing.
Yes, appropriately gruesome for a Roman battlefield. There is some nice variety to the locations you fight in. And Marius makes his way through the environment well, with subtle color indicators to guide you through the level without you even realizing it. He climbs ladders with just one arm, which I thought was pretty badass. But there are objective-based battles such as freeing prisoners or ballista sections, which seem to drag on way too long. It's like they just give you a task and then ask you to repeat it for 15 minutes, and it just feels lazy.
More effective against large...
Yeah, there is a bit of padding going on there, which is a shame, but I thought the formation stuff was just incredible.
Legionaries!
Calling your troops into line, marching forward, taking turtle formation when a volley of arrows is fired. It's so quintessentially Roman and I loved it.
Hold formation!
And it's not overused either.
Yeah, I love the way if one gets hit on the front line, then another quickly takes his place.
Yeah, I really love the siege battles as well. You're using ballistae, fending off invaders and kicking ladders off walls with enemies still attached to them, destroying siege towers. It's like living out all the best bits of ancient history that I remember from school in a video game.
I thought the commands you issue to your troops worked well, and the Kinect voice commands were surprisingly well integrated. It's a nice feature, but it is a little redundant because it's always so much quicker to use the controller.
You know, I didn't think I would use the voice commands, but I totally did. You know, I was always so fixated on the rhythm of buttons in those tough combat sections that I did actually find it easier just to use my voice. Although I did find it slightly hilarious because, you know, these Roman soldiers are so butch and badass, hacking down foes with angry cries, and then there's my girly voice over the top going, "Catapult fire!" It just takes a little bit of the authenticity out of the experience.
There is some nice sound design overall, I thought.
Yeah, and likewise the mocap and voice acting is all top-notch with all that beautiful stately dialogue. I'm sure the story may not be anything original, but there's enough there to put the fire of vengeance in your belly and feel for Marius' cause.
They do a nice job of mixing history with poetic license, and a decent dose of Roman mythology for good measure. Plus, it's hard to take your eyes off all the beautiful lines and imperfections on the characters' faces during those cutscenes.
The massive barbarian army has swarmed across the Empire, wreaking havoc.
That detail. I did expect the loading to be a little bit better for next gen though.
Yeah, it wasn't flawless, but then again, we weren't on the final code. There are also a few annoyances, like silly vision-obscuring text warnings. I mean, that message could have just as easily been conveyed with a vocal cue rather than blinding my view of the battlefield, but other than that, no major complaints from me. There is also a multiplayer mode, which we couldn't take online with our code, unfortunately, but we had to go at some of the solo arena battles, which are basically gladiator wave modes. Not really something I'd get into, but I'm keen to check the online stuff out.
Yeah, me too, because we have so much fun with games like War of the Roses, and it feels like this might be similar. Final thoughts, Hex?
You know, I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. I dug the combat, finishes and all, and each element felt so well thought out to play to that Roman setting. Historically recognised Lady Warrior Boudica even makes an appearance, which I thought was awesome.
I've come too far to let you stand in my way.
I'm giving it 8.5.
I think out of all of the Xbox One launch titles, this is the most interesting. It's a brand new IP, it's trying new things. I just think it was a little too restrictive and QuickTime based for my liking. And while the campaign is around 6 or 7 hours long, I do feel like a lot of that is just filler. So I'm going to give it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens.